Should young people in the church be encouraged to pursue careers in science, engineering, and medicine? I'm joined today by Dr. Matt Carlson, a PhD in biochemistry, a high school physics teacher, and a Christian to help answer that question. Matt, for a Christian, can a career in science, engineering, or medicine be more than just simply a way to earn money? Can it be a form of ministry?
Yeah, every profession really needs to be a form of ministry. I mean, you should not be doing something where you cannot be a minister where you're at. I think science is often, and engineering is often a calling, whether people realize that or not. You understand you're good at it, you enjoy it, and so that could easily be a calling that you should pursue that. God is giving you gifts in that, and that is actually a calling that He's expecting you to use those as such, right? It's funny that sometimes people talk about full-time ministry being people working within the church and not. I mean, everyone is a full-time minister, right? You should not stop. I mean, sure, I sleep. I don't know how I'm ministering in my sleep. But all your efforts should be to glorify God. And it doesn't really matter what you're working on, whether it's science or not. There are ways to glorify God. Now, in medicine, it's pretty easy to see that. You are directly healing the sick. Christ wants us to do that. Scientists and engineers can also directly do that. I have friends who are working on medical devices to try and improve people's life. People designing drugs, the good kind of drugs, to try and make people give people healthier lives. So you can directly do that, but you can also, whether you're just an accountant or whatever the kind of thing, not to belittle accountants, we all need numbers, but you can act in that in a humble manner, in one that lifts other people up, that's a servant, that's not prideful. So whatever your profession is, keep those things in mind. Now, I want to tangent briefly in terms of the young people, in terms of as you're heading towards your career. Mm-hmm. You want to have a long-term goal in mind, but you need a balance between ministry now and ministry later. Sometimes I've seen in my career, as I was working towards my PhD and things like that, I would get people caught up too far in one or the other. 100% studying to be the best scientist you are, and then not really making sure that God's a part of your everyday life. But I could see some people make the opposite problem. They'll go out and they spend all their time, giving food to the homeless, working with these people here and there, and their studies suffer. So as a young person, I think they need to be doubly encouraged to keep a long-term focus. My wife is a full professor at Purdue. She's awesome, right? But she had to work hard to get there. She couldn't have spent every waking hour doing the obvious Christian-y kind of things. She had to spend time on her homework, work super hard. I worked not quite as hard, but we had to work hard. And that effort was ministry. It was a forward ministry. I'm making myself better now so that I can serve God better in the future. And that in itself is also ministry because I'm looking for the long term.
Now, it's also, I think, honoring God because you're doing things with excellence.
Exactly. Right? You're trying, and you're doing with excellence now with the hope of also doing excellence later. Exactly.
Yes. Now, what about the role of scientists and engineers and physicians within the church? I mean, one of the things that I find a little bit discouraging at times is that churches don't seem to have a vision for how scientists, for example, can fit into the life of the church as scientists and serve the church as scientists. And for example, I think of the idea that scientists have this opportunity to tap into the glory of the Creator revealed in nature, unlike anybody else. And shouldn't they be worship leaders in the church because of that? So what are your thoughts on how science maybe could benefit the life of the church?
Well, I don't know whether you want a lot of scientists on the worship team because, have you heard how some of them sing? I mean, I'm okay, but, odds are not always in your favor, all right? But yeah, they can totally bring people into a worship of the elegance of the universe and things like that. I find that scientists, engineers, they usually spend their life and are very good at learning things. right? All my friends in college, most of them are not doing what they studied, but they are highly sought at by companies because they are really good at learning. And the church needs people who are good at learning things. They can learn things and then bring them back and share them with people. It can be discussed and things like that. And so I think it's be very unhealthy not to have a significant number of lay leaders who are scientists, engineers, doctors. That's their life, is to think about things. And not everybody has the time or inclination to think about things. Not everybody wants to hear, any sort of dry theology, but think deeply about current events, think deeply about what's going on in the church. I think the scientists, the engineers, the doctors, these people add a good layer. There's a chunk of the church missing if they're not there.